Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Master of the Modes. Today we're going to be discussing the Lydian mode, which is the fourth mode of the major scale. Okay, so let's recap. What is the major scale? The major scale, starting from C, is exactly that. Okay, now the major scale is the basis for all Western music and Western music theory, harmony, etc. Most songs, I would have to say, are probably written using the major scale or a mode of the major scale. All right, so the major scale being a set of specific intervallic relationships starting from the key of C, or starting from literally the key of C, and going up to the octave. Now, what's really cool about music is that what gives whatever you're playing its specific sound, two things. Number one, what note are you starting on? And number two, what are the intervals you're playing after the starting note? So when you play the major scale, it's very bland, it's very stable, it's kind of boring, it's kind of campy in a way. If we take that same group of notes, all naturals, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And we just shift up to the fourth degree of that major scale, which happens to be F, and replay those notes without altering any of the letters, but just starting from F. We now have what's called F Lydian. Now, F Lydian sounds drastically different than C major. Let's do C major again. Now we'll do F Lydian. All right. Now, you could argue that both scales sound bright and happy. They actually both contain a major third. So technically, they're both of the major variety. But what makes the Lydian different, literally just one note, right? It's the raised fourth degree, which we don't have in the major scale. But if you move everything up and replay those notes, you get a scale with a raised fourth. And for the purposes of this video, we're specifically looking at F Lydian with that raised fourth. Now, how does F Lydian differ from F major? All right, well, let's play F major. F major is the same quality of scale as C major. They're both the same intervals, just a different starting note. But it's the same pattern, so it's the same flavor, it's the same sound. And what's different about it is the B flat that's present in the F major scale gets brought up by a half step and made a B. And that is the only difference between the F major and the F Lydian. Most music would be probably chosen to be written in F major over F Lydian, but there's been a lot of music over the years that have used the F Lydian scale, or any Lydian scale for that matter. So this video hopefully will inspire you, entertain you, and hopefully educate you if you're a beginner on what exactly is going on with the F Lydian mode. Or the Lydian mode itself can evoke a sense of happiness or childlike wonder. Okay? Those aren't my words, but I like them, so we're going to use them. If you ever want to write a piece of music that has a celestial, outer space, big, dramatic kind of vibe, or need for that kind of vibe, you would use the Lydian mode. It's got a very ethereal kind of feel. When I use the word celestial or ethereal or floating, it's happy, it's major, but it's almost like post major in a way. It's like it takes the stableness of major and adds a little bit of whimsical flair to it. So when you hear a lot of music for movies, you're probably hearing a lot of Lydian mode stuff. Even if it's not the whole song, you might get sections of music written in the Lydian mode, and you get that nice nice, whimsical, ethereal type of sound with the Lydian mode. The primary focus in terms of the modal harmonic structure for the Lydian mode, meaning simply what chords do people typically use when they're doing Lydian mode composition or improv. And to be specific, I don't want to leave any stone unturned here, or any turn unstoned. The major scale functions in such a way that we could call it functional harmony, and that there are specific chords and specific chord progressions and movements that we use within the major scale framework that have become archetypal in the kind of music that's written in the modern time, right? Cadences, groups of chords or chord progressions that elicit a certain vibe, all fall under the major scale framework. But when you're looking at Lydian mode specifically, you could play melodies using the melodic side of things with just the notes. But in terms of the actual chords used, if you're looking to play specifically what will make the Lydian mode sound like the Lydian mode, you're going to want to play the 1 chord to the 2 chord. Now, what's really cool, if we're in F Lydian, the 1 chord is F major. It's a major mode, after all. And the 2 chord of the major scale is usually a minor chord. But in this case, it's also a major chord. Okay? So the combination of having 2 major chords back to back, first of all, when compared to the major key structure, it's unusual, right? But when mixed with that right hand on the Lydian mode itself, that's where you get the magic. So if you're looking for a chord progression, you pick your starting point, you turn it into the Lydian mode, and you play the 1 chord to the 2 chord. They're both major, so it works. Now let's just discuss a few songs that you could go listen to in your own time that utilize the Lydian mode. And most of the time, modes aren't responsible for the entire song of any given piece of music. A lot of times it's used in the intro, or maybe the solo section will go to the Lydian mode, or maybe just a part of the song, right? And of course, depending on the style of music you're listening to, that'll dictate how that works specifically. But I want to give you 2 examples of the Lydian mode. The first one being one of my favorite progressive / rock bands, Steven Wilson, the Steven Wilson Group. They do a song called Refuge, and it starts off like this. It's a D chord with a C in the bass, and then it does a C add 9, also with a C in the bass. So we are cementing home a C Lydian vibe by playing a C in the bass. And when we do that D chord, and you got the C in the bass, it keeps that Lydian vibe also. And then of course you have the F sharp, the C Lydian mode being C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and C. All right, so that is the sound of the Lydian mode in a rock song, okay? The other example, and this one will be much more accessible to the average person, the Simpsons television show, the cartoon, Homer Simpson, Bart Simpson, the show that's been on for decades, that theme song starts off in Lydian. I haven't analyzed the entire thing, but the first notes of that theme song are the Simpsons, right? So that is, we'll just call it C Lydian just to keep this simple. It doesn't matter what key they're in. The intervals are the same. What letter you start on doesn't really matter. This is just for the purposes of this video. We'll call it C Lydian. We're doing a C up to the F sharp, which is a tritone, also known as a flat 5 or diminished 5th. And then right after that, we land a half step higher on the 5th. So we start on the root, we go into extreme dissonance with the tritone, but that is the money note. That is your Lydian sharp 4. And then we resolve it up to the perfect 5th. So the Simpsons. All right. So there you have it, guys. The Lydian mode, what it is, where it comes from, how it sounds, how it's used, the chords involved, and a couple examples for you to go listen to. I hope that all made sense. Please like and subscribe if you're still here. Give me a thumbs up. In fact, if you're still here, leave a comment saying you're still here.